Awesome. Well, hey guys, welcome. This is another episode of Tac'd with Spencer P. I'm sitting here with Kwabi, the owner of the Peace Bus. I'm sure you're well familiar, and if you're not, you're gonna be today. I brought him in. He's got a lot of stuff going on, and honestly, I think he's gonna tell you better than I could. So I'll just give him the floor right off the bat.
Well, first of all, thank you so much, Spencer, for allowing me to be on the show. It seems as if you're doing well to give people a platform, people here in Tacoma that are doing good things. I commend you for that. I think that in our current day and age, oftentimes people who are doing good things, they're not necessarily highlighted in the community. And so you having this platform and what you're doing, thank you so much.
Beautiful, brother. It's my pleasure, honestly. That's exactly what we started the show for, you know. I know a lot of people who are doing a lot of things and they don't, they may not know how to promote themselves, or they may just not get enough genuine love. And I like to give people their flowers while they're still here. And if I see people doing good work, I like to up them up. I want people to do more good work. So if this is the best thing I can do, I'm all over it.
Gotcha. Yeah, man. Well, getting right into it. Yeah, for those who don't know, my name is Kwabi, and I do drive the Peace Bus. It's a Mitsubishi 1988 van, and I use this vehicle in order to distribute humanitarian aid to folks around here in Tacoma, the west coast of the U.S., and now with our next campaign, I'll be leaving and going to Washington, D.C. But before we get into that, I'd like to hone in on some of the stuff that we've done so far in Tacoma, my humanitarian work. I think it started back in 2018, Spencer. 2018, man. I was really interested in how to promote peace, right? Now, a lot of people, they may know about Martin Luther King or Gandhi, people like that, right? But have you heard of this guy named A.B. Nathan?
I have not. Enlighten me, please.
I will enlighten you, Spencer.
So this is easy. This is fun.
A.B. Nathan was an Israeli humanitarian. He flew an airplane. He was a pilot, too. He flew an airplane from Tel Aviv all the way to Egypt to promote better relations between Arabs and Jews. And as we've seen in the media right now, there's a lot of craziness going on in Palestine because these two factions of people are at odds. So he was trying to mend the gap. He was trying to get people together from either side to have conversations about peace. So he flew an airplane. It made headlines everywhere. People were looking at A.B. Nathan's excursion across the sea, right? And he was getting leaders to talk. And I thought, whoa, A.B. Nathan, he flew an airplane. What if I could become a pilot, a peace pilot? So I started taking flight lessons here in Gig Harbor. I'd go to Spanaway Airport. I'd go to Renton Airport, just flying. All my instructors thought I was crazy. They're like, so you're in here, you're in flight school to fly for United? Like, no. I want to fly for peace. They thought it was crazy. So I still want to do it. I want to be the first person to circumnavigate the globe in promotion of world peace, man.
The peace plane is coming?
It's coming.
Oh,
it's coming.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what's next.
Is this breaking news?
No. Oh, yeah, I guess so. Maybe so.
We're taking
for a lot of
it.
people
That's
don't
breaking
know.
news.
Yeah, so this was like 2017 when I was doing these flight lessons, but it became too expensive. As you know, and as most people know, flight lessons are very expensive. So I thought, well, if I can't get the peace plane now, I do have a driver's license. Why not use like a vehicle to promote peace? And that's where the Peace Bus was born.
That's where it all started? Really?
It was plan B. A really good plan B, though. It was a really good plan B.
Yeah, so what made you choose a 1980 Mitsubishi van?
Okay, so I was going to get a Volkswagen bus like, the Peace van. That's the quintessential,
right? That's what I thought.
Yo, but any car made before 1982, the Carfax aren't necessarily correlated with the VIN number. So I don't know what's under the hood, right?
Really?
If I buy a Volkswagen bus, unless I know the person, and we have a good relationship, I know that they're not lying to me about what's under the hood. It's a crapshoot, man.
Odds are what came with it is not what's in it now.
Exactly,
I'll tell you that.
So just for liability, I was like, okay, I should get a newer vehicle, but something still vintage. And there was this guy named Jason in Vashon Island. Jason, shout out to Jason. If you ever sees this, Jason is the man. He's the man. Because I was online, and there was this weird, funky looking vehicle, and he was selling it. And I was like, Jason, I like the vehicle. I want to have a vehicle for peace. And he was like, bro, yeah, I'm going to sell it to you. I'm going to give you a discount. I was like, yeah. So I bought it for $3,200, and I got it painted. Oh, you got me up there. Yeah. I got it painted baby blue. And or maybe I should say pastel blue, and it sounds better, you know.
Okay.
And then I put the Peace Bus on the side, and really the rest is history. I started driving it around. People would see it's really flashy. It's really bright and vibrant.
And it's in really good condition.
It is in good condition.
It is in good
Shout
condition.
out to Jason once again.
I watched your the TV show episode, and you guys are cruising around. Thing is mint, bro.
It is. And you know,
keep doing what you're doing.
It's only broken down maybe once or twice, so it's pretty good for 1988, man.
The mechanic in the episode seemed like she was pretty familiar with you.
yeah, she was.
I'll see you the next time the Peace Bus breaks down.
I know, right? Yeah, that's cool. You saw the show, man. The show, how that all came about was really wild.
We'll definitely get into that because I really appreciated that. You put a lot of production value into that, but I don't want to digress so quickly.
Yeah. Okay, so I bought the vehicle. Started driving it around. The idea was just to campaign for peace. So this idea of campaigning, Spencer, oftentimes when people think of peace, they think of activism. I'm not an activist. I'm not going to be the person necessarily on the street with a fence, you know, with like a picket fence thing or like with a sign. But I will campaign for peace like it's a product, like Coca-Cola. We know about Coca-Cola all the time.
We're marketing peace.
Because it's advertised everywhere. We see it in schools. We see it in the stores. We see it on the internet. Why can't we do the same thing about peace, love, togetherness, and understanding?
That is such a cool way to think about it. I've never... Beautiful. I love that. I really do. Because I'm a big proponent of promotion. You know, if you don't sing your own praises, who's gonna?
Wow.
But I've never thought of it in terms of promoting peace like that.
Yes. It needs to be trending, man. Peace needs to be trending.
I agree.
If you talk to anyone, right? You ask them, what do you want out of life? The top 3, peace is gonna be up there. Okay, we've got the overall idea and consensus that peace is what we want. Why can't we have the discussion? So in having the Peace Bus and driving it around, I was talking about peace, promoting it, but was I putting peace into action? And I saw on the Peace Bus, there's a place where there's supposed to be seats, right? But there's nothing, just floor. And I thought, well, what if I could use this gaping hole that's in the Peace Bus to distribute goods to people in need? And that's where the humanitarian aid part started coming about and started using the vehicle for humanitarianism, delivering socks at first. And then we did blankets. And then in 2019, I'm sure both you guys understand, like, and remember that there was a lot in the media about the immigration crisis. Remember that?
The ones coming, the big group of people coming through El Salvador.
So there was the caravan. There was that.
Caravan.
But then there was also, like, you were seeing, like, kids being taken away from their families and, like, people in cages. Like, what is going on?
The big ice.
Yeah, the ice thing.
Yep.
CNN saying this. Fox News is saying that. What is really going on? So I was like, okay. Well, I'm going to take the Peace Bus. I'm going to drive down to the border of Mexico and interview Border Patrol agents about the crisis. That's nuts, right? To think I could actually do it.
I have that on my list to talk about. I'm glad you brought this up.
We're about to go in, bro.
Beautiful.
It was, so I had this idea. I pitched it to some of my friends. They're like, no, you're crazy. And I was like, yeah, but wouldn't it be interesting to have that dialogue with the underlying premise of peace, to see something that's been very divisive in our current day and age, and have a discussion based on the premise of peace. So I called the San Diego Border Patrol. I'm calling them up. I'm like, hey, my name's Kwabi. I got this Peace Bus. I want to just interview you guys about the crisis. Just try to figure out what's going on. They're like, no.
Yeah.
Who are you? Like, you're not even a news station. I was like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
bye.
Let me rethink that.
Let me think.
Give me a minute.
But I'm stubborn, Spencer. I'm stubborn. So I was like, I'm going to do it anyway, right? I announced it on social media. And after a while, traction started coming. And then the Tacoma News Tribune was like, what? You're really going to try to do this? So I had an interview with...
forcefully spoke it into existence.
Exactly. That's most things, man. I put my foot in my mouth and I just
campaigning.
Say it. Yeah, it is campaigning.
Beautiful.
Exactly.
Beautiful.
And, you know, oftentimes you have an idea or a concept and you try, and it's good intentioned, and it's positive. People out the woodwork will come to help you, man. Yes. It is the positive manifestation of reality. Right? So I put it out there, and funds started coming in and started realizing it was going to be something to happen. And I got a few of my friends together, and we headed out on a journey of a lifetime to the border of Mexico.
And So you don't have any formal training in setting any of this kind of stuff up. You just on a whim up and did it.
Yeah,
you just said there's something going on there. I need to get down there and get to the bottom of it. How can we fix it?
Yes, I'm not a reporter. I'm not a politician. I'm just a person trying to.
I'm just
make
a
things
dude
better.
on a mission.
Yeah, just a dude on a mission.
Beautiful,
so
bro.
We stopped in major cities in California, delivered socks and blankets to people in need. We stayed with host families, people we didn't even know at all.
They just opened their doors to you.
Yeah, they were fans of the Peace Bus. They're like, wow, you're doing this trip for peace. We want to support you. So we stayed with them. Then when we got to LA, my buddy Kevin, who was rolling with me, he was like, hey, man, you should call them again. See what they have to say. So I call up San Diego.
Patrol?
Yeah, I called the Border Patrol. I'm like, hey, my name is Kwabi. I'm down here at the border. I'm here in LA at your back door. What do you think about an interview? They're like, there's so much going on in the media right now. It's inflamed. We can't risk it. But they were interested about the bus. They said, you have a peace bus? And I was like, yeah, it's a blue bus. You know, it looks really cool. And they were like, well, we want to see it. Like, send us your website. So I sent them the website. About an hour later, they called back, and they're like, the guys want to see the bus. To come on, bring it down to the station. And I was like, what? All right.
Okay, that's getting somewhere.
Exactly, right? But, it was all about peace, you know? That was opening up their hearts and minds to these people. And we went down there. They came out, looked at the bus, and they're like, okay, where'd you guys come from again? We're like, we came from Tacoma. We came all the way down here. And they're like, why? And I was like, to interview about the crisis. And they're like, okay, well, we'll let you guys ride with us on patrol. So we get into the San Diego Border Patrol headquarters patrol car, and we're driving on the border of Mexico. And I was like, hey, can I ask you guys some questions? And record it. And they thought we were cool. I started asking questions, started recording it, and then I put that on social media. And that's when the news outlets up here were interested more about the Peace Bus. When I came home, I was on this show and that show, talking to people about what we did, using that publicity to go to schools, talk to kids about nonviolence locally here in Tacoma. Then from that sprung this show that I was creating about educating kids on poverty, incarceration, homelessness, hunger, and racism, things like that. And I don't know if I can keep on going.
No, I have so not to stop you. So let me just run you back for a second.
Okay.
So when you say you were calling the San Diego Border Patrol to do an interview, who were you looking to talk to? Like, did you have anyone in mind? Like, were you trying to make a legitimate sit-down interview video and try and get it to CNN? Or
the plan was to have a sit-down interview. It's interesting. No one's ever asked me about this before. Yeah, the idea in my mind was it have to be sort of organized, sit down, have a conversation, maybe with one of their higher end people.
Right.
But it was the guys on the ground that I got to speak with.
Because that's what I wanted to get at. Because if it sounds like that was your intention, I'm sure you're gonna. If that were to happen, you'd be speaking with someone like the police chief or someone in administration who doesn't necessarily have boots in the dirt like these guys do. So when the guys who are on patrol, who are dealing with the problem day to day, face to face, they see something like this bus come around. This guy's driving, from the top of the country to the bottom on a whim. We told him no, and he still showed up.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, it seems for real. Like, these, like the people with the boots on the ground are probably the people you want to talk to in the first place. So I think it kind of worked out how it was supposed to for you.
For sure, man. And honestly, their answers were very unpolarizing. They said that the media is doing a bad job of reporting what the real crisis is at the border. And he said, if anything, it's a humanitarian aid crisis. People are coming up from the border needing help, needing sustenance, needing aid, clothes, shelter, these sort of things. It was never explained that in the media. It was just like, a faction of people were saying, well, criminals are coming up from the border. And another faction of people were just saying, like, people are coming up and they need help, but really what kind of help was needed?
Right.
Yes, people need citizenship.
Right.
But people needed clothes and food and shelter, and this is what they were elaborating to me.
And so, among that, like, because you're right, it is, one news site is saying, hey, like, these people are coming to take our job, or they're criminals or gang members or whatever. And the other, and then another news outlet is saying something along the lines of like, hey, everyone deserves this, like no matter what, bring them in. So I was just kind of curious as to if they offered any solutions, or at least maybe something you could do.
Yeah.
Not necessarily boots on the ground, but when you get back to where you're at, to maybe educate people, or I don't know.
Yeah, well, they were explaining that they need donations to help folks. That they're not equipped with the aid that's needed for these people.
Because if I'm not mistaken, I think the same thing is going on right now, if not intensified from where it was, when you were down there. So I'm sure whatever they were asking for then is, if not doubled by now. So
yeah, I think anyone who's listening to this needs to ask themselves, why would anyone risk everything to come here?
And that is what if they are. This is a generalization, like a generalized statement, but if they are illegally crossing the border, it's not a stroll through the park.
Correct.
It is generally a long walk through the desert.
Yes.
And these are children, pregnant women, all sorts of people. So it is a very perilous trip. Like, it's not just, jump in a river and swimming across.
Exactly. The world over, there has to be a new, I want to say, a shift mentally for us as people to realize that everyone needs food, clothes, and shelter. If we're really, truly looking to build a peaceful world, a peaceful future, that has to be a part of it.
Yes. There are basic needs. Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, man.
So after all that, you came back and you said the local news outlets.
Yeah. So I was on New Day with Margaret Larson. I got on there, told her about the trip, what the whole journey to the Mexican border trip, and she asked me, because that was sort of like a pinnacle moment, because she was able to ask me, with my past travels, because I went to Europe before I had the Peace Bus. I traveled and went to Europe and asked people, everyday people, about what peace meant. I was in San Francisco, Vancouver, BC, Seattle, and here.
Yep.
And the overall consensus is a society that has their essential needs met. And then once we have that, we're better equipped to reach our potentiality as people. And then that's how we create beauty. That's how we create life. And that's how we create a better quality of life for every human being. That's the basis, at least. And so I was on her show, and then also another show called Take 5 with Chris Cashman, who's an awesome reporter, and me and him have built a friendship together.
That's a cool name.
Chris
Cashman.
He's the guy. He's done, I want to say, about 4 stories on me already.
Oh, really? Okay, so he's been keeping his eye on you.
For sure. We just did a story last week. He came out, went to Annie Wright School to promote the new campaign the Peace Bus is doing, and he came out and filmed the whole thing. It was great.
Nice. So, actually, it's funny. Right before we came over here, I stopped by my mom's house to say hi, and she was like, I mentioned, I was like, hey, have you seen that Peace Bus around? She's like, oh, no way, you're having him on? Like, I follow him on Facebook and all that
cool.
stuff. Yeah. Little local celebrity. People love seeing that bus around.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so what is this new campaign you were over at Annie Wright for?
Yeah, so before this last campaign, and this is sort of what brought me to doing this. So I was Santa Claus for the city of Tacoma. This last winter, I announced that I'd be Santa Claus. I invited kids in the greater Tacoma area to send me letters about what they've done for peace, love, and togetherness with their families. And then they could ask for any gift, as long as it was $50 and under, and I'd get it for them. And so Christmas Day, I dressed up like Santa Claus. My friends were elves, and we delivered tons and tons of presents to the kids of Tacoma. It was over 300 families, over 200 residencies. And that was the last campaign, humanitarian campaign. Now we're embarking on the biggest journey, the biggest campaign I've ever created to date. And it's called Manifest Humanity. And as we've seen, 2020 has been a tumultuous year. Many, many crazy things have happened.
Yes.
We've seen a lot of struggle. And honestly, we've seen a lot of togetherness. But still, there's a mode of divisiveness, a mode of, breaking apart that seems to not be mended. And we're very torn apart in regards to our ideals, it seems as if. And so I thought, well, what can I do as a humanitarian to bridge this gap of understanding and to have a rally cry of peace? And so this August, I'm taking the Peace Bus, and I'm traveling from Washington State all the way to Washington, D.C. in an effort to meet with President Joe Biden to have a discussion about what we can do to bring the nation together in peace. And along the way, I'm going to be delivering books, as the ones you see here. These are just some of them, all across the country to kids, age 5, all the way to the big kids who go to college. And I have a list. It's called the Kwabi's Peace Reading List. It's comprised of 40 books that I feel encompass love, peace, understanding, empowerment, cultural awareness, and I'll just be giving them away.
I was watching one of your videos, and I like what you said when you said, well, I know you were quoting someone. I think it was Martin Luther King.
Okay.
He said, "Fight the problem, not the person."
Ooh.
Is that correct?
That is big as well.
I was watching one of your videos, and that stuck out to me, especially in the current climate that we're in. So I'm sure. So I have to ask you this: do you have like a team behind you, or are you just the kind of person who says something and then makes it happen?
Yeah, no, I have assistants. I have assistants that aid me, just like an athlete would have, like, for example, like Muhammad Ali. In his corner, he had Boudini, and he had I forget the other guy. That escapes me right now. But he had some team members to help him, and that's the same way in my work. I have really good, strong friends and team members, assistants that help me in my excursions or my trips or my humanitarian aid endeavors.
Beautiful. Shout out to them, because you were talking about the Christmas thing, and you're like 300 families and any toy under $50, I'll get you. I'm like, that adds up pretty quick, bud. Like
for sure. Well, the money comes from the generous people of Tacoma. It's also the grace of God that all this even happened.
Shout out to them. Yeah. Big shout out to them.
The people of every single thing from the Peace Bus has been from the people of Tacoma.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's essentially a fund, right? And people donate monthly, and then all of that money gets allocated towards the next humanitarian aid effort. So now I'm sitting pretty for this next campaign, and we're going to be able to distribute thousands of books to kids.
That's freaking awesome. If someone wanted to donate to that campaign, where would they go?
They can go to my Instagram page, the Peace Bus. Beautiful. And they can look in the link in the bio. It has the GoFundMe there. You can donate monetary funds there, but honestly, donate a book. You can donate a book. If you go to the website, you'll see a list of the Kwabi's Peace Reading List. It's $40. Pick a book, buy it at a local bookstore here. We have King's Books here in Tacoma. And you just buy one and then send it to P.O. Box, the Peace Bus, P.O. Box 862, Tacoma, Washington, 98401.
Beautiful. We'll put that right here in the show notes, one of the two.
Cool.
Dude, that's freaking awesome, first and foremost.
Thanks, man.
So what made you, like, what does the road down to Washington, D.C. look like? Yeah,
so before we go, I've been doing some campaigning, going to local schools, talking to kids about what I'm doing, also talking to adults about what I'm doing. So this campaign, it's for children, but it's also for young adult. It's the youth. The youth are the heroes of tomorrow. And if we can create a new culture of peace and understanding, maybe when they get older, they'll have a heart to help each other and sort of have a mode towards coming together. We'll have a culture of coming together. I'm writing a letter to the president, as well as 9 speeches that are the reason why I'm going. And I feel that if we're really, truly, Spencer, looking to build a peaceful future, we have to understand that there's inhibitors of peace. There's several things that are preventing us. There's systemic issues that are preventing us from moving forward. And that is poverty. We can't move forward in peace together if a large factions of Americans are suffering and not able to reach their potential due to the systemic violence of poverty. A systemic racism. We can't move forward if there's a faction of people that are hindered based off their skin color and lack of quality education for every child. It makes no sense that a child that lives in another part of town, is born and lives in another part of town, would have less of an education than another child that's born in another part of town, when the solutions that we desperately need are embedded in either one. We need the cure for cancer. We need new innovations that are going to transcend humanity to a better and bigger height. And that can come from any child, anywhere. It's insane to think otherwise. So these are the things we're rallying around. It's not necessarily a democratic way or a Republican way. It's a human progress way. And that's my angle that I'm going at to talk with the president about. I'll be stopping in major cities. Off the top of my head, I could tell you where we're going. We're going from Tacoma, Seattle, to Boise to Salt Lake City, from Salt Lake City to Denver, from Denver to Kansas City to St. Louis to Chicago, Louisville, Kentucky, from Louisville, Kentucky up to Detroit to Pittsburgh to New York to Pennsylvania, then to DC, and then hopefully meet with the president, and then I'll ship the Peace Bus home, and we'll fly back home together.
That sounds active. That's all of the best cities. Like, that sounds like the full tour, bro.
Yeah, man.
You said you don't have any extra seats in there? What's up?
No. I mean, maybe next time.
I might cramp your style. But
gotcha. Yeah, I got my team.
That's so freaking cool. I really appreciate what you're doing, because I am somewhat of a fan of chaos.
Okay.
But in short bursts, right?
Okay.
I don't like sustained chaos.
Okay.
Because the opposite of peace, I always think of chaos, right? And so in any situation where I can choose peace, I really like to choose peace, just because in chaos you never know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, I would like to think that the opposite of peace is deception, right? The peace is truth. It's something that we all can have, and we have the means towards allowing it to happen. But through deception, it's prevented from being extended to everyone. I think that, obviously, well, maybe it's not obvious, but there's 3 different kinds of peace. There's inner peace, how we find that either through a religious practice or a way of life or a self-purpose. And then there's interpersonal peace. How can we be better towards our fellow human being? That's what I sort of conduct myself in. And then there's diplomatic peace, is China having better relations with Russia, the U.S. better with India, things like that. But they're all connected. And I think that the work that I'm doing, sort of raising awareness towards these institutions of violence that are preventing people from having just quality of life, it hinders many people from having inner peace. Inner peace is sometimes a luxury. Now, there are individuals who live in poverty, who they have peace. They have so much peace. But let's streamline peace. Let's make it available for everyone. That's how we're going to create a society where everyone has their needs met and be able to live a fruitful life.
I totally agree. I can't agree more with you. I especially over the last year, have been very fed up with the news and the left and the right and the division. And I can't put it any other way than being pro-America. And pro-America means everybody winning.
Correct.
That's all I'm looking for.
Gotcha.
Let's have less losers, whether it's their fault or not their fault. They might have been born on the wrong side of town, and either way, like, let's cut that line. I don't like to see people lose.
Correct.
And we live in the best time ever. I mean, the technology that's available, the information that's available out there, there's no reason to lose out there. Well, okay.
100%. Yeah. Even elaborate on that. We're making strides to go to Mars, Spencer.
Not only strides, we got a plan in action. Like, don't we? I thought we had a date.
I know Jeff Bezos is trying to go to space.
He's going to the moon, right?
And so this is what I'm getting at. The idea behind that is we have the smartest minds working to get us places, to make technological advancements, scientific advancements. We're too smart, Spencer. We have the means and the resources to defeat poverty. It's time for us to do it, because then we'll have more solutions. And everyone will have a seat at the table of opportunity that way.
Totally agree. This guy's on it. I like it. Awesome. So just tell me a little bit about yourself. Did you grow up here in Tacoma?
Yeah, I grew up in University Place.
Oh, nice. Okay, did you go through Curtis and all that? Nice.
I went to Curtis, yeah, man.
Sweet. So, what was like? Did you have any fond memories like growing up here, or were you ever like move out, or was this always home?
Yeah, man. I liked growing up here, man. It was great. Living here is great. Even I live in the North End now. Okay. And it's a great community. People there really support my cause and what I do as a humanitarian. But growing up was good. Curtis was a good school. Didn't have too many problems. I grew up like upper middle class household. My dad has a doctorate in engineering, and my mom has 2 masters and a year in her doctorate. My brother's actually the vice principal of Washington High School in Parkland.
Holy crap.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy, man. So education was always something super important. In fact, I wasn't even permitted, like, I did lacrosse for 1 year. And that was on a dare. I did lacrosse on a dare. Someone told me that I couldn't do it. It was like, oh, you're black. You can't do lacrosse. I was like, oh, no, I'm doing
game
lacrosse.
on.
Yeah, exactly. So I tried out for it. I studied the sport and I lettered in it. And then after that, my mom was like, okay, you need to get back to your studies. So school.
You weren't permitted to play sports?
No. That was plan D.
You lettered too? You
Yeah,
you lettered
man.
and it was like, no, don't play.
Yeah, man. 1 year.
So they really pushed academics, huh?
College wasn't a question. It was, I'm going. How long do I want to stay in school was the question. And so I ended up, I went to Western for a few years. And then I flunked out because I was playing too much reggae music. I wanted to be a reggae musician when I was in college, man. And I had the long dreadlocks.
Mom was stoked off that, bro.
Exactly, right? She actually came up to Bellingham and was like, hey, you're going to come home, get your act together.
She brought the bell with her, huh?
Exactly. So I came home, went to TCC for about a couple of quarters, got my GPA back up, and then I transferred to the Evergreen State College, finished there, and then I went to get my master's in business at City University of Seattle.
Interesting. So you have 2 degrees then?
Yes, yeah.
Is that the bare minimum?
I think that's going to be it. I think that's going to be it for now. I just want to live my life giving as many people as I can and doing humanitarian work. That's sort of what I want my legacy to be.
So if you don't mind me asking, where did I'm trying to think of the right word for it, but where did I'm having a total brain fart. Where did this whole humanitarianism come from in you?
Yeah, so when I was in grad school, I'm surrounded by folks that are solely concerned on, money, which is, I get it. Money is the means to which we create oftentimes things. If you don't have money and necessarily resources, you can't put your stuff out, right? But I was still feeling unfulfilled. Like here I am in grad school, where a place where many people find their purpose, and I'm still lost. And I thought, well, I did something that a lot of people don't do in our current day and age, and that is reaching out to an elder in the community. Reach out to the wise person.
Hit the OG.
Exactly. So I reached out to an old professor of mine named Peter Baccio. He's a doctor. He helped to be my academic advisor at Evergreen. And I asked him, I was like, hey, I'm in college. I'm doing my thing. How come I'm not feeling unfulfilled? What do I need to do? He said, Kwabi, you're a capable man. You could do this. You could do whatever you wanted to do, But you need to ask yourself, who do you want to be? And not what do you want to be? And I was like, whoa.
That is some of the best advice I ever received, too. That changed my whole perspective.
Yeah, man.
I was asked, how do you want to live, not what do you want to do? That was the
Who
difference.
told you that? Where did you get that one?
I met an immigrant who moved up here from Egypt, and he's a multimillionaire, and me and him were on good terms for a while, and yeah, that was like one of the main things he kind of laid out for me was if you pick what you want to do, then your path is already chosen for you, and you're just playing out the game. If you choose how you want to live, then you have to reverse engineer how you get to it, and it's just a different way of thinking about it.
Wow, man. Yeah, exactly, 100%. So I got by myself.
Shout out Samir.
So I got by myself and I thought, well, if I took away all my labels and the things that essentially like my environment, like say I wasn't an African-American man that grew up in University Place, went to Western Washington University and, got his master's in business, what would I want out of life? Say I was a completely different person. I thought that at my core, I love seeing different types of people from different walks of life, religions, creeds, backgrounds coming together for a positive cause. It gives me goosebumps to think of these things. Just talking about it. I love it. And I thought, well, I'm pretty sure that's peace. That's what peace looks like. How can we set aside our differences and better yet, acknowledge our differences and come together with love and compassion and to move forward collectively. And that's where the humanitarianism started and the peace campaigning.
I think you found it, bud. I think you nailed it on the head. I mean, think about that. If you were to go to school, with what you're doing right now, what job would that be? I don't think that's really much of a job, right? That is...
Yeah, I don't think so.
I'm glad you went and did what you were supposed to do, bud, because it looks like you're sitting in the exact seat you should be.
Thank you, man.
That's
I appreciate
incredible.
that. Thank you.
So, I got one last good question for
Okay.
you.
Hit me.
If you pull up and Joe Biden's like, Kwabi, I like your cut, man. I'll give you the keys to the castle for the day. What
What do you mean? Like make me president for a day?
for the day? What are you doing?
Wow, that's a big question. Okay. Yeah. The first appointed thing would be to set our priorities straight. If we're looking to be the best, to gain the most potential as a nation, as I stated before, we have to look towards the hindrances of peace, and that being 1, poverty, 2, systemic racism, and 3, quality education for every child. This book right here, for example, is Why Nations Fail. It's by James A. Robinson. You guys need to check this book out. For example, this book, the premise and thesis of this book, I hope I don't ruin it for you, but the thesis of the book
Spoiler alert.
is, yeah, exactly, is what allows a nation to become a first world, and why are third world countries? Now, there's a myriad of different things of why that's the case, whether that's exploitation from world powers, or sometimes there's religious coups and things like that, crazy stuff going on. But oftentimes what can create a first world country are these things called inclusive institutions. The more inclusivity we have as a nation, the more that we'll reach our potential as a nation. To think, maybe, I don't know, when education was streamlined for every child that was required to go to school. But before then, it was more chaos to think we had an overall consensus to think that every child needs to be in school.
Right.
Now, how we can take that even further? What if every child has quality education? It's more inclusivity. More children have the tools in order to cultivate their own destiny, right? And therefore, we have more progress. We have more wealth. The knowledge is the key. And then we have less poverty. We have more safety. Think about this, Spencer. Think about this. Oftentimes, people who are on the up and up, rich folks, people who have it made, they want to protect their interests, right? I get it. You have money. You want to keep it. A lot of times, but people do this by any means necessary, and that's wrong. But there's a big thing on safety. Oftentimes, the solution is over-policing, bigger walls, bigger fences, more guard dogs, things like that. And these are Band-Aids, right? What is intrinsic safety? And I believe that creating a quality of life for every child. Children aren't criminals. At some point, they feel that crime is the only outlet that they can take in order to better their lives, have some clothes, have some food on the table. But what if they were to have the skills in order to better their themselves and their families? Rich people wouldn't have to look over their back, right, when they're walking. People would have a better means towards cultivating their potential, and that's what we really want as a nation. And these are some of the things I would implement as a president.
Introducing kids to other ways of making money, aside from turning to the streets,
Correct.
right? Instead of introducing them to drugs, introduce them to shoes or something,
Correct,
or whatever,
correct.
There's...
Yeah, exactly, 100%. It's a win-win. It's a win-win.
Fight the problem, not the person.
Correct. I think that as a society, we need to invest in the most important thing that we have. And that is us. That's our kids. That's the American youth. That's what we need to invest in.
I agree. Beautiful. I don't think it gets any better than that, Kwame. I'll let you do any closing thoughts, where the people can find you at, all that good stuff.
Thank you. If you want to reach me, the Peace Bus, please go to www.thepeacebus.org. You can also check me up on Instagram. Please send me a message. If you send me a message, I will talk with anyone about peace. Let's have a conversation about it. Also, help to support the Manifest Humanity campaign. Donate a book. All these fantastic, amazing books that I'm giving out to kids all across the country. I need your help in it. So please donate a book.
Please, this guy is doing great work. Up him up. Help however you can. Kwabi, it has been a pleasure, brother.
Most definitely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Spencer.
And do not leave without letting me get a pic in front of the van.
Okay, we'll do it. Bet.
Beautiful. All right, this has been Tagged In with Spencer P. Kwabi and the Peace Bus. Peace.